She said she's done. You backed off. She seemed better. Then 3 weeks later, she's even more done than before. And now you're thinking, what did I do wrong this time? Here's the truth. You're stuck in a loop that most men never escape. Today, I'm showing you exactly how to break it. What's up? I'm Noah Allen. And if you've ever felt like you're walking on eggshells in your own home, wondering why every time things get a little better, they suddenly get worse, this video's for you. You're a high-performing guy. You lead teams, you close deals, you solve problems for a living. But at home, it feels like you're guessing. And every guess makes it worse. Here's what's happening. She says she's done. You give her space. Maybe you work on yourself. You stop nagging. You start getting calmer. And for a few days, maybe even a week or two, things feel lighter. She smiles a little more. She talks to you without that edge in her voice. And you're thinking, okay, maybe we're turning a corner. Then boom, out of nowhere, she's colder than ever, more distant, more done. And you're sitting here thinking, what did I even do wrong? The answer is you didn't do anything wrong in that moment. You're just stuck in a cycle that most men don't even know that they're in. And until you understand how this cycle works, you'll keep repeating it. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what this cycle is, why it keeps happening, and most importantly, how to stop it for good. So let's get into it. All right, let's talk about what's actually happening here. When she says that she's done and you back off, you're not fixing the problem. You're giving her relief from the problem. And relief is temporary. Think about it like this. Imagine you've got a pebble in your shoe. It's driving you crazy. Every step hurts. So you stop walking. You sit down. The pain goes away. Relief. But the second you stand up and start walking again, the pebble's still there. Nothing changed. That's what's happening in your marriage. When she says she's done, she's saying, this hurts. I need space. So you give her space. Pressure lifts. She feels relief. But the actual issue, the thing that made her say she's done in the first place, it's still there. You just stop stepping on it for a minute. Here's how this plays out. Let's say your name is Marcus. You've been married for 12 years. Your wife told you 2 months ago she wasn't sure she wanted to stay. You panicked. You tried everything, the flowers, the date nights, the long talk, nothing works. So finally you backed off. You stopped trying so hard. And guess what? She started acting nicer. She even laughed at one of your jokes last week. You thought, okay, we're good now. But then this past weekend, she told you she's not sure she even wants to go to your parents' house for Thanksgiving. She's pulling away again, and you're confused because you thought things were getting better. Here's what really happened. When you back off, you stop being the thing that was bothering her. You weren't chasing. You weren't trying to fix her emotions. You weren't asking, are we okay, every 5 minutes. That gave her relief, but didn't give her trust. It didn't give her safety. It didn't give her a reason to believe anything would actually be different. So now, a few weeks later, she's testing again. She's watching. And what she's seeing is the same guy who backed off, not a guy who changed. Relief wore off. The pebble's still in the shoe. See, most men think that giving space equals fixing the relationship. It doesn't. Space can create breathing room, but if you're not using that breathing room to actually rebuild trust and safety through your actions, you're just delaying the same conversation. She's not getting more done because you messed up. She's getting more done because nothing fundamentally shifted. You gave her a break from pressure, but you didn't give her proof that the core issues are being addressed. It's like when your car's check engine light comes on. You can ignore it. You can drive carefully. You can even disconnect the battery so the light goes off. But the engine problem, it's still there. And trust me, I've unhooked the battery before just to make sure that, is this really happening? Yes, it's still there. And one day, the car is going to break down on the side of the road. That's what happens when you rely on relief instead of doing the actual repair work. So, if relief isn't the answer, what is? That brings us to point number 2. Now, before we go further, let me say this. If you're watching this and thinking, this is exactly what's happening in my marriage, you're not alone. I work with high-performing men every single week who are stuck in the exact cycle. And the reasons they break it isn't because they figured it out on their own. It's because They got clear strategic plan that was built specifically for their situation. If you want that kind of clarity, I've got a free training that walks you through the exact system I use with my clients. It's called the Emotional Layering Protocol, and it's designed to help you rebuild trust, reignite connection, and lead your marriage again, even if she says she's done. Links in the description. Grab it. It's free, and let's keep on going. Now, here's where it gets real. She's not getting more done because she's irrational or emotional. She's getting more done because every time you give her relief without real change, the trust gap gets wider. Let me explain. When she first said she was done, she was hurt. She was frustrated. But there was still a part of her that wanted to believe that things could be different. That's why she's still there. That's why she hasn't left yet. But when you back off and nothing fundamentally changed, you didn't just miss an opportunity, you reinforced her doubt. She thought maybe he'll finally get it. And then the relief wore off. She saw the same patterns starting to creep back in. Her brain said, see, I was right. He's not going to change. Let's say your name is Derek. Okay. You've been married 10 years. Your wife told you she felt invisible. She said that you never asked about her day. You never helped with the kids unless she asked. You were always on your phone during dinner. So you decided to change for 2 weeks. Okay. Maybe you put your phone away. You asked about her day. You helped the kids without being asked. And she softened, even said, I appreciate you trying. But then week 3 hit. You had a rough day at work. You came home exhausted. You sat on the couch and scrolled through your phone while she made dinner. You didn't mean anything by it. You were just tired. But here's what she saw. She saw the old you, the you that she's been living with for years. In that moment, all the progress from the last 2 weeks, gone. Not because you had one bad day, but because she's been conditioned to expect that change won't last. Now, this is the trust gap. This is the space between what you say and what you'll do and what you actually do consistently over time. And every time you slip back into the old patterns, even for a day, that gap gets wider. She's not being unfair. She's protecting herself because in her mind, you've already proven that change doesn't stick. Think of it like building a bridge. Every consistent action you take is a plank. Every time you slip back into old habits, you remove a plank. She's standing on one side of the river watching you build, and she's not going to step onto that bridge until she sees that it's solid, that it's safe, that it's not going to collapse under her weight. Right now, you keep adding a few planks, then removing it, and she's watching. And every time a plank gets removed, she takes another step back from the edge. So, how do you stop widening the trust gap? How do you actually build the bridge? Here's the part most men miss. You think that you need a big moment, a grand gesture, a perfect conversation that finally makes her see you've changed, but that's not how trust gets rebuilt. Trust gets rebuilt through small, consistent actions over time, not intensity, consistency. Let's say your name was Jason, okay, because we had a client in this same exact situation. You've been trying to save your marriage for about 3 months. You've done the flowers, you've written the letters, you've had the deep talks, and every time she says the same thing, I appreciate it, but I need to see if this is real. So you keep doing the big things. But here's what you're missing. She's not watching the big things. She's watching the small things. The way that you do the small things is how you do the big things. She's watching if you still interrupt her when she's talking. She's watching if you still get defensive when she brings up a concern. She's watching if you still forget to follow through on the little things you said you'd do. Because here's the truth. Anyone can do something big once. But only a man who's truly changed can do small things consistently, and especially if she catches you off guard. Really, that's how she sees if it's truly intrinsic change or if it's extrinsically motivated. The cycle breaks when you stop relying on relief and start building proof. Proof doesn't come from backing off. Proof doesn't come from one good week. Proof comes from showing up the same day, day after day, even when she's cold, even when she's distant, even when it feels like nothing you do matters. And that's what she's waiting for. She's not waiting for you to be perfect. She's waiting for you to be consistent. Here's what that looks like in real life. Let's say that you've been working on not reacting when she gets frustrated. In the past, when she'd snap at you, you'd snap back, or you'd shut down. But now you're trying to stay calm, stay present, stay grounded. Week 1, you do great. She snaps. You stay calm. She notices. Week 2, she tests it harder. She's colder. She's more distant. You stay calm again. You don't chase. You don't react. You lead. Week 3, she has a really bad day. She takes it out on you. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can react the old way or you can stay consistent. If you stay consistent, she notices. And not just that you stayed calm. She notices that you didn't need her approval to stay grounded. That's proof. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means you don't quit. It means you don't stop leading just because she's still distant. It means you show up as the man you're becoming, not the man she's afraid you still are. And here's what happens when you do that. Over time, the trust gap closes. Not because you convinced her with words, because you proved it with your actions. And she starts to believe that maybe, just maybe, this time it's different. So let's bring it all together. Here's what we covered today. First, you're stuck in a cycle of relief, not recovery. Backing off gives her space, but it doesn't rebuild trust. Second, she's getting more done because the trust gap is widening. Every time you slip back into old patterns, she takes another step away. Third, the way that you break the cycle isn't through intensity, it's through consistency, small, consistent actions over time. If you're watching this and thinking, okay, I get it, but how do I actually do this in my marriage? That's where I come in. Look, I've worked with hundreds of high-performing men who were in the exact same spot you're in right now. Their wives were done. They tried everything. Nothing worked. And the reason they turned it around wasn't because they got lucky. It's because they got clear, strategic plan, and they followed it. That's what I do. I help men like you rebuild trust, reignite connection, and lead their marriage again, even when it feels too late. If that's something that you're serious about, I want to invite you to book a free call with my team. We'll look at your specific situation, figure out exactly what's keeping you stuck, and map out a clear path forward. No fluff, no guessing, just a real conversation about what's possible. That link's in the description. Book the call. Let's get you out of this cycle. See you in the next video. But first, if this video helped you, do me a favor. Hit that button and subscribe. I drop a new video every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on how to lead at home, rebuild trust, and stop guessing in your marriage. Drop a comment below and let me know what's one thing you're going to do to start being consistent this week. I read every comment. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.